Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the Dreame Bot L10 Pro. This is another robot vacuum cleaner, but this one is a flagship grade model. This company, Dreame, is actually a part of the ecosystem chain of Xiaomi, well known for making smartphones and all types of smart home appliances. So technically this is a Xiaomi smart robot cleaner, and it has a early bird price of around $360. So again, it's going to be more expensive than some of the other cheaper models we've seen, but also because of the more powerful specs and performance that this will supposedly have. So in terms of some of those specs, it has up to 4,000 PAs for suction strength, which is the highest amount that I've seen yet out of any small robot vacuum cleaner. Most of the other units that we've seen have been around 2,000 or 3,000 max, so this thing should really be able to suck up even more dust and hair. It also features a Lidar. It'll basically scan the room 360 degrees almost instantly and be able to plan out its map and route itself intelligently to not go over the same space 2 times. So it has very fast mapping capabilities using the Lidar, which is the same tech powering self-driving cars. It also is a 2-in-1 unit, just like before, so there is a mop component as well for wet cleaning. It is worth noting though that one function that is missing on this model is going to be a self-emptying bin, which some of the other flagship grade robot cleaners are beginning to adopt. So those units will sometimes even empty its own trash into a larger box when it's charging, but this one doesn't have it. But it will still automatically charge and go back to its base when the battery is running low. And speaking of, the machine will run for about 2.5 hours when fully charged. The box this time is surprisingly a bit more compact. We'll still get a quick start guide. A separate little tray here contains the mop component that can be snapped into place if you want to add the mopping function, and the cloth here can also be detached using Velcro. You can make out some of the tubes that is pumping out the water as it goes. Before we take a closer look at the design, I will mention that you don't get a conventional remote control in the package. So for doing that, you have to rely on the companion app. So again, connecting this thing up to Wi-Fi. That philosophy even extends to the brush, actually, because most of the robot vacuums will have 2 of these, one on the left, one on the right side, for it to suck in additional things inwards. But on this unit, actually, there's only one brush that you need to pop in. So it's on the left side, nothing is on the right. We can see that the tires are actually pretty thick, so it's able to climb over carpets and other surfaces without any issues. The dustbin is actually located on the other side of the robot. And then we can press on the sides here, basically just to release it. Otherwise, we can see that there are some speakers located on the edge of the robot. It has actually a very slim profile, so it will have no issues as far as getting under furniture and sofas, things like that. The speaker, by the way, is used to give you some voice commands and prompts. And now on the front, we can make out more of the design. The surface here is actually made out of a polycarbonate plastic, but it's glossy. Some power controls that you can turn it on and begin vacuuming. You can also see more of the sensors that is used for mapping things in 3D, and it's able to sense things even if it's on the side. So it will try to avoid different objects. Like for example, if I have a backpack or if I have, say, a book that's on the floor, it will realize that that's there and try to map around it. And then in terms of the dustbin, we can just lift it up like this. So it opens up like a hinge, like a door. And inside of this is where we have, first of all, a small brush that you get for cleaning, which is pretty thoughtfully tucked away, as well as the actual dustbin that you have to empty out when it gets full. You can also see a status LED there for when Wi-Fi is activated or not. So there's another quick instruction of how to empty it. Basically just this slot that we can lift up. So that is the capacity. Also has a HEPA filter on here, so it will prevent any dust from circulating, preventing allergies. More specifically, it's 570 milliliters, which is still decent. It'll get you enough in terms of a few rooms in the house, but you may have to empty it if you're trying to cover a really large area. The companion app that you're connecting to is even just the Mi Home app, which admittedly has been a year or 2 since we last checked in, but from here we're able to add plus to connect to their devices, and underneath the new product section we should find the Dreame Bot L10 Pro, and afterwards it will tell us to press on the front keys for a few seconds.
Please return to the Xiaomi Home app and wait for the network connection to complete.
So you can hear there, that's basically what the speaker sounds like, just initializing things. The app allows us to select a room if we wanted to tell it where it's currently at when doing the initial vacuuming, and quiet times as well so that it will try to not vacuum during those sleeping times. And the dashboard will now tell us the charging status, if it's being connected right now, the battery percentage remaining, how much area it's covered, as well as any map of its current location after it begins to scan. If we want to start a cleanup, we can just tap on this middle section there.
The robot is starting the cleanup.
And it will begin to undock even by itself, and it will probably start to spin kind of around 360 degrees to do a quick scan of the room using the Lidar sensors. And you can hear that's basically the noise level that the robot produces. So, not too bad. It still is okay in the sense that if you are doing a bit of work in the background, it's not too distracting, I'd say. And immediately it will start to try and map out your location that it's seeing here in real time. So very fast. It's also going to trace the path that it's taken down below there as well. And indeed, if we want to set a virtual wall, such as an area where we don't want the robot to get to, you can actually draw it using the app. That prevents the robot from getting to a certain section of the room. Take a look at the settings, and things that we can change here include the cleaning mode. From a standard, there's also a quiet mode, strong, and a turbo mode that will take things up to the 4000 level suction strength. So right now this is just the average loudness in the background, but the quiet will sound like that, so it definitely is going to be more silent versus turbo. You can hear it going a lot more in the background there. So standard usually is sufficient, and otherwise you can also control the flow of water coming out. That is for the mop function if you want it to get more wet or more dry, as well as schedule different cleanups. And there's also a physical remote control page that you can use to take things, moving it up, down, left, and right. You can also find your robot, in which case the robot will continue to talk and alert you of its location, but you can probably already tell due to the sound that it produces the accessories usage. It will tell you basically how long you can continue using the parts like the HEPA filter, the side brush, as well as the kind of sensors in terms of their lifespan, and after a certain amount of hours you can probably try and replace it. We can also turn off the 3D high precision obstacle avoidance if we really wanted to, as well as change the loudness of the volume for the speakers on the robot itself. And there's also a few other options here. There's something called a carpet boost mode, and it will turn on maximum suction on carpet surfaces, but then go to normal when on wood or other surfaces. You can see it scanning there. And this is actually using infrared light beams, which are invisible to the human eye, but on camera it's being picked up. And there we have it. After about 20 minutes of cleaning, it has more or less covered everything in this room. It basically started off in the edges and circled across all of the walls, and afterwards it then went in and kind of used stripes to make sure that all the area gets covered, and then slowly navigate to begin charging itself. So the process again is pretty smooth. You can also check on the dust capacity, and you can see it's pretty much almost full. So it's done a really good job of actually getting quite a lot of dust sucked up from the carpet here. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Xiaomi Dreame Bot L10 Pro. It's really fast to actually get a map up and running and then calculate the best path, which it does very effectively, I'd say. So to cover the same space, this will obviously be a lot more efficient. So anyways, very good performance in terms of suction strength. If you're looking for that, you can check out more details in the links down below. That's more or less it for our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews at the flagship Dreame Bot L10 Pro.